Good evening everyone, and welcome to day 12 of the 40 Days of Hope. For those of you out there who aren't too familiar with how to pray, I hope you know that this message gives you ideas. And for any Christians out there, I hope you're really encouraged by the end of this message that you can ask God to help you in your prayer life, if it's something that you find hard. This is my journey. How my husband interacts and prays is completely different to mine, so I'm not saying that this is the right way at all. We're all unique and we all have a different relationship and a prayer life with God, but I'm just allowing you to see how it works for me. The Bible says that we should actually pray without ceasing, and I know that could probably sound a little bit bonkers, but basically it just means that, when we're praying, it's just conversation with God, and it's just inviting Him and talking to Him throughout the day, inviting Him into the different parts of our day, to be involved in our day. So prayer starts for me basically first thing in the morning. Anyone that knows me knows I'm not a morning person, never have been. And I can often pray, Lord, help me get out of bed. Lord, help me be cheerful this morning, especially if I'm feeling like I've no energy and the kids are being demanding. Help me not to lose it, Lord. Often going to work in the car, it's really nice and quiet. I love that time, just telling God about maybe if the weekend's gone past, things that are maybe worrying me, things that I'm asking for help with, or things that I'm thankful for, and even just thinking ahead of that day, things that I'd like Him to help me with. At work, regularly praying at work, give me patience when I'm teaching and help me to explain things in a way that will help the students understand. Those of you that know me know I can be quite scatty. I ask God to help me be organised, help me remember that later, God, So that's just an idea throughout the day. And I suppose, when my prayer life is thriving, when I'm closest to God, it's when I have the discipline to actually have an intentional time set aside with God, where I might listen to Christian music or read the Bible or, just pray. And the framework for that prayer that I think is a really good place to start is using the prayer that you would have read yesterday from Luke, where Jesus taught us the Our Father. And the first time I learned how to pray like this, and I'm really grateful, was it was many years ago, it was my early 20s, and a man called Tony Broderick from River of Life Church was given a sermon one Sunday. And Tony, just every time he speaks, he's one of these, we call him anointed, that's kind of the Christian language, but it basically means, every time he speaks, it's like God uses him to raise standards within me and challenge me. And this Sunday anyways, he says, you should all, he didn't say we should all be doing it, but he says, I really want to challenge you to spend an hour a day prayer with God, just 1 hour a day. And I thought, he's absolutely mad. Like, how could I spend an hour a day praying? What would I pray about? How boring would it be? But he showed through using the Bible, using the Our Father as a framework, and it really brought new life to my prayers. That day Tony spoke. He gave really great advice and wisdom as well, and said, if you're finding it hard to pray, ask God to help you. Ask God to give you the divine discipline to actually set that time aside. So, my prayer life is up and down, and when it's at its very bottom, I always start with that prayer that Tony just gave that Sunday, and I always remember it. I always just pray, God, give me the divine discipline to get in that place, to have intentional time with you. And I prayed again the next day, and I pray it until I'm in that place. And I encourage you to pray that prayer, and He will help you. He'll help you to have that discipline. I know it sounds a bit mad. Ask God to help you spend time with Him. Yes, and He does. He wants us to rely on Him, and He knows that we can't really do very much without Him anyways. So yeah, that's, I suppose, what I'm saying about I'll talk to you a bit more about Our Father and how using that as the framework, what I learned that day and how that works. But I took Tony up on that, and I started actually spending a lot more time in prayer with God, and it just really brought me to a whole new level of experiencing God in my life. There was just more, I suppose it felt more closer. When I was reading the Bible, I just felt it was really relating more to my life in specific times, and also loads more coincidences. You might think, what do you mean coincidences? And I'm always talking about these, but they just become more regular when you're praying. Just one that comes to mind when I was thinking about tonight was my parents went away one weekend, and my dad had been working really hard at the time. He really needed a break, and my mum needed a break as well. She hadn't had a rest in a long time, and they went away. And I remember praying that weekend every day, God, just give them little surprises. I don't know what to pray for them, but just fill it with little surprises. And I rang Mum after that weekend, and I said, how was it? And she goes, well, Bernie, it was just amazing. It was just full of little surprises. She used the exact words that I prayed, and she went on to explain all these little things that happened that were so unique and so special just to my mum and dad that it could have only been a weekend designed by God for them. You know, it was just such a powerful answer to prayer that means a lot to me. And I know that wasn't just a coincidence, that was an answer to prayer. And you see more of these when you're in that place. So I encourage you, pray for godly discipline if you're finding that hard. And you know, an hour a day might sound like a lot to you, so just ask God, you know, give me a starting point, God, and always aim higher than you think you're able, because if you ask God to help you, you'll manage it. All right. Yeah, so I hope you enjoy your reading today, guys, and look forward to speaking to you tomorrow.